Fantastic. Let's now move on to our next speaker. Her name is Amanda Stevens, and Amanda Stevens is one of Australia's best female speakers. I think one of Australia's best speakers, full stop. She is amazing. She's got a whole long list of accomplishments here, but we're just going to cover only a couple of things. She does have a double degree in marketing and consumer psychology. She's written 5 books and is a highly regarded marketing consultant. She's worked with lots of small businesses, but also lots of big companies as well, like Microsoft, Westpac, Foxtel, Lend-Lease, Priceline, and many, many others. She's also shared the stage with people like Sir Bob Geldof, Sir Richard Branson, and also Condoleezza Rice as well. So we're very grateful to have Amanda here to guide us through. This is a kind of like a brand new presentation. Even though she's a very accomplished speaker, what she's done is taken the crisis that we're in right now and reworked her content to really make it relevant and specific for what you need right now. So this is brand building in the new world. There's going to be lots of practical tips in here. And when you hear some good ideas, and there'll be lots of good ideas as well, let us know in the comments below. That's where you should be putting any questions, but also any thoughts or takeaways or ideas or those one-liners that are really impacting you right now. Let us know in the comments below. But right now, can you please help me and give a huge round of applause to your next speaker for Conquer the Crisis, Amanda Stevens. Big round of applause. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and thanks, Dale, and hi, everyone. I firstly want to thank you for joining the live stream today. We are certainly in a very unusual environment, but the fact that you've logged on today means that you're committed to taking action and looking at how you can not only survive the interesting times that we're in, but how you might thrive through the other side. The first thing I want to say is we're all in this together. This live stream, in fact, I think is testament to the incredible resilience of the business community. And I think that one of the upsides, one of the benefits, or one of certainly the silver linings that we're going to see when we're through the other side of this challenge and this crisis is that when we work together and we collaborate, amazing things can happen. So thank you for joining today, and hopefully this session and this presentation gives you not only some ideas to take action on, but my hope is that at the end of this presentation, you feel a little bit more inspired and a little bit less isolated. So today is really about giving you some strategies to take action. If you're anything like me, you've spent time in the last couple of weeks feeling a whole gamut of emotions, from feeling anxious to feeling a little bit overwhelmed and probably a little bit frightened as well. And all of those emotions are really normal. We feel those emotions for our personal circumstances, but a lot of us in business have felt those emotions in terms of what this means for our business, what this means for our future, what this means for our financial future. So my goal today is to help you quell and address some of those emotions of feeling overwhelmed. And I want to take you today from feeling fragile to agile, because the business owners and the businesses that are agile and demonstrate agile strategies through this crisis are the ones that are going to really be able to take advantage of the upswing when it does happen. I love this quote from Napoleon Hill, and that is, every adversity carries with it the seed for equal or greater benefit. Now, I know it doesn't feel like that right now, and we've still got, we don't know where this crisis is going to take us in the next couple of weeks and months. But I think that this is important for us to understand and maintain hope at this time, is that we have an opportunity in our business right now to take this adversity and do something really solid with it, and do something with it in a way that gives us a more solid business and a stronger business at the end of all of this. So today is not about rainbows and butterflies. I acknowledge that we're in challenging times, and for many people who are on this live stream right now, you're facing more challenges than some of us. So today is not about saying, hey, it's all going to be great. Your marketing needs to change. Your business structure needs to change, and your branding strategies need to change. So today is not about silver bullets, but it is about silver linings, because I do believe that there is opportunity in this. Not to say that we should be opportunistic, but really focus on what are the silver linings. And as Keith said, maintain a positive mindset throughout this so that we can have a more agile business and we can reset, use this as an opportunity to reset our marketing and our brand. Now, a really obvious question for a lot of business owners, including myself, is what do we do right now with our marketing? Do we just put everything on hold? Do we stop all our Facebook ads? Do we shut down our website? What do we do? What do we need to be saying to our customers? What do we do with our customer experience strategy? And that's probably the overriding question that is keeping a lot of business owners awake at night. So as I said, I'm going to attempt to address this question today by giving you a bit of a blueprint and getting you to think about what does the next 30 days look like in your business and for your marketing. I will say that obviously this is not business as usual. Some of the strategies and ideas and the blueprint that I'm going to share with you in the next 10 to 15 minutes is going to challenge you. We are, as business owners, we need to think differently. If we're going to be truly agile rather than fragile throughout this crisis, we need to literally think outside the square. We need to be prepared to perhaps do things that seemed unfathomable just a month ago. And I'm going to share some really interesting examples with you. So the first thing you need to decide is what is your branding pathway. As I said, we've got a whole range of different businesses and industries represented on this live stream today, and we're all in different situations. Some businesses have been shut down. Some businesses are choosing to shut down. Some businesses are looking at how they pivot and how they adapt to what is happening. So I want to outline for you 3 pathways, and each one of these pathways is going to resonate with you in terms of where you're at right now. So in terms of your branding and your business, as I see it, you've really got 3 options right now. You can firstly choose to hibernate. Now, this is the branding and marketing strategy that is most relevant if you're in an industry that has been evaporated or shut down. Industries, and I work with a lot of clients in industries like travel that has been completely smashed by this crisis, obviously. Health and fitness, of course, we know that gyms have been closed down. Hair and beauty, that's probably on the cards today, and a lot of hair salons and beauty salons have already chosen to get ahead of what's probably coming and shut their doors. And of course, retail. I was just looking on my social stream and just seeing the number of announcements that have come out today. Literally, retailers, big and small, are shutting their doors down. So this is really a hibernation strategy. It's like if your business is shut down or it's going into certainly low operating mode, what are some of the things that you can do in the next 30 days? The second branding blueprint, branding pathway is to innovate. Now, this is if your business, certainly we're all being challenged by this. As a speaker, I've had 37 cancellations or postponements of speaking engagements. So I've accepted that I probably won't speak on any stage for the rest of this year. So my business is sort of in hibernation, but I'm also looking at what does this mean for innovation? How can I use this time to pivot, to adapt? And this is a great example of doing virtual presentations, is a great example of innovating and adapting to this changing environment. And then you've got activate. Now, there's a lot of businesses in industries and sectors that have an opportunity right now to be more relevant than ever to consumers. And I'm going to talk about some examples. So if your pathway is to hibernate, I want to give you some thoughts and tips and tricks and strategies on some of the things that you should be focusing on right now. The first thing and the most important thing, if you haven't already, is get on the front foot with your communications. You need to communicate not only with your team, but with your customers. What is happening? Why it's happening? Why you've chosen to shut, if that's what you're doing, what this means, and how this is going to work. So communication is obviously really important. And I know that sounds really obvious, but I've seen a lot of business owners right now, understandably, feel completely overwhelmed and just kind of go into lockdown. But it is really important to communicate openly with your customers. The other thing about hibernation is that it's a great opportunity to renovate. Now, if you're a retailer or you're a gym, for example, and you've had to shut down, this is a great opportunity in the next 30 days. It might not seem relevant, or it might not seem something that you can take action on today. But think about this as an opportunity to renovate your premises, to renovate your brand also. This is a time to perhaps be thinking about a rebranding project, and just thinking about how you can potentially renovate and refurbish parts of your business. And collaborate. Now, this is a theme that I'm going to talk a lot about today. I think that right now the greatest opportunity we all have as business owners is to collaborate with our customers and to collaborate, in fact, with complementary businesses. I think one of the upsides when we get through this crisis is that we're all going to be closer than ever as a business community, and we're going to be looking for ways to collaborate with complementary businesses to be able to drive our marketing dollars further and perhaps come up with ideas that, again, seemed unfathomable a month ago. But sharing those ideas, sharing strategies and perspectives really gives us that opportunity. I will say we need no hate, and I say that because I've seen some really negative messaging online lately, business owners judging other business owners for the decisions that they're having to make. So I think it's really important that we keep our messaging positive and also look at how we can maximize our time and our assets. Now, our business assets, I know I think about this a little bit differently to Brett perhaps in terms of how your balance sheet looks, but there are some assets that you have in your business now, not just the extra time that we all have, but some assets that we have that perhaps you haven't thought about that you can really leverage and maximize at this time. So around crafting your language carefully, I just want to give you a couple of examples of how you can repivot and reshape some of the messages that perhaps you are communicating to your customers and on your socials. The first thing is, rather than saying a forced shutdown, it's better to say temporary closure. So this is really about positioning, and it's about how you can craft your messaging in a way that's less fear-based, and that is, just certainly has a little bit more of a positive, constructive spin on it. Rather than referring to the virus crisis, talk about the new environment that we're in. And rather than apologizing for the inconvenience to your customers as much as you feel that way, just thank them for their understanding. So this is about how we can really pivot these messages to make sure that they are positive and constructive to our customers. Now, I love this quote that I saw yesterday, that while Western cultures refer to this as a closure, isolation and quarantine, in Buddhism, it's referred to as retreating. And I think that's a really important distinction for us as business owners, to think about this time not as being enclosed and in isolation and in quarantine. As Keith said, it comes back to your mindset and how you're going to reset. Use this as an opportunity to reset. So think of this time as retreating, having quiet time to be working on your business rather than in your business. And the other thing we all need to think about is, what does our post-COVID equilibrium look like? This is, again, as Keith said, it's about thinking about our vision, where we want to be, perhaps not for the rest of this year now. We need to reset and think about more short-term goals. But in the next 30 or 60 or 90 days, where could your business possibly be? Could it be at a different level? What does your new equilibrium look like? And when we start thinking about it in that context, it can start to shape some of the branding and marketing strategies for us to think bigger, for us to perhaps think about new markets and think about having a stronger, more successful business at the end of all of this. So I've put together a little bit of and you'll get a link to this as well as part of the gifts that have been very generously put together by all the speakers. But I just wanted to give you an example of a 4-week plan. I believe, and I've had times in the last particularly week that I've felt really overwhelmed and a little bit paralyzed by what's going on. So I think structure is really important. So when we're thinking about working on our business during this time, working out what we do and how we pivot our marketing and our offering and our messaging, is actually really structuring it and actually just putting a simple 4-week plan together. So not thinking out any further than the next 30 days. I don't think we can at this point because we don't really know what's on the horizon. But just thinking about some of the priorities and some of the things that you can get ticked off, and just focusing on one thing a day for the next 4 weeks. So week 1, if you're going into hibernation phase with your business, the first thing I would suggest is, rather than just going out with an email to your customers, is record a video. Record a video and tell them how you're feeling, tell them what's happening. That's always going to be more personable and more authentic than an email or a written communication. Also record a video message to your suppliers. I think it's important for us to be really communicating with our business partners at this time and talking to them about not only what the business, what is happening in your business, but how you might be able to help them and perhaps what they might need from you. So having that transparent communication and using it as an opportunity to connect. And as I said, video is a great medium to do that. I'd also suggest that you look at your top customers and actually pick up the phone and talk to them rather than just emailing them or messaging them. Actually follow that video up with a personal phone call. I think that just, as Keith said, connecting with your top customers right now, and as Brett mentioned, 90% of your business is likely to be coming from 10% of your customers. So now's a good time to sit down and think about who are those 10%, who is in that 10% list, and how can you really double down on communication with them and be calling them, following up that video. Now is also the time to think about suspending all obsolete marketing subscriptions. You perhaps have some tools in your business and some subscriptions that you're not going to really need in the next 30, 60, 90 days. So now's a good time as part of your potentially your cash flow and your P&L process that Brett talked about, is thinking about where can you cut marketing expenditure on subscriptions that you're not using right now. Now, also, it's important to update your website, your Google listing, and your socials. So if you are going into shutdown or hibernation in your business, make sure that that's reflected on your website and try and update your Google listing. Because if someone's Googling you and trying to find you, it's important that they understand that perhaps your business has been shut down or you're choosing a temporary closure. Now, week 2 is about going into looking at where is your marketing at. As I said, I think this is we probably don't realize it now. It may take hindsight for us to fully appreciate this time that we have to be working on our business rather than in our business. But now's the time to be looking at your marketing with fresh eyes, looking at critiquing your website, taking yourself out of your business, stepping into the shoes of your customer and looking at your website, your branding and your customer journey with fresh eyes. This is a really great process to be going through, and thinking about it also keeps us as business owners focused on the end game, because we will get through this and each day sometimes feels we can feel overwhelmed with what's happening that day and that week. But I think that being disciplined and focusing on reviewing our marketing is a really great way for us to keep our mindset focused on when this is over and how we're going to build a business that's stronger and better and more agile at the end. Weeks 3 and 4 are really kind of dedicated to renovating what I said. As I said, if this is a time that you want to renovate your premises, literally, or renovate your brand, that's a great time to do it. And, marketing is an expense that sits on your P&L, and the last thing you want to do at this point in time, obviously we need to look at how we can cut expenses and maintain cash flow to get us through this crisis, but look at adapting and pivoting how you're using marketing resources. For example, perhaps if you're not using outsourcing, this is a great time to be looking at some more cost-effective ways to cut your marketing budget, but to get a greater return on investment. So looking at outsourcing solutions, perhaps taking your marketing offshore if that's not something that you've looked at previously. These are things all on the table. As I said, that's a great opportunity for us to be using this time effectively. And then I've dedicated week 4 to content creation. As I said, this time we have right now is the time to be doing all of those projects that we put off because we don't have time. So write the book that you've been putting off, record the videos that you've been putting off, all of the things. And look, as a marketer, I have a list just like Keith of about 20 projects that have been sitting on a whiteboard that I'm going to really power through in the next few weeks, because that is the opportune time that we have right now to get all of those things done. Use this time also to look at how you can leverage, obviously reduce the marketing subscriptions that you don't need, but look at ways that perhaps you can develop content using other tools. If you're not a member of Business Blueprint, I know that Dale is happy to share a whole range of tech tools, free tech tools that you can learn about and utilize and leverage in this time to be developing content. So what I think we want as business owners, one of our goals for the next 30 days is, no matter what strategy or branding pathway you're going to follow, is to have a bank of content that we can really have in our arsenal ready to go when the upswing happens, so that we can potentially be zigging while our competitors are zagging. So that's hibernate. Now, innovate. This is an opportunity that a lot of us have in business. This is where we're not going to shut our business down completely, or our business hasn't been temporarily closed, but we're looking at how we can adapt and pivot our existing offering. As a speaker, how can we package up our content and our IP to do more virtual presentations during this time? How can we really take the assets that we have, our product or our service offering, and adapt it and pivot it and repackage it in a way that's more relevant to the consumer of today, that's very different to the consumer of just a month ago? So what are some of the things that you need to focus on? What are your priorities? What should your priorities be if you're going to focus on innovating in the next 30 days? Obviously, again, connecting with your customers, with your suppliers, your business partners, and your friends. Now, the reason I say that is this is a great time to form some virtual focus groups, to focus on innovating, drawing some insights from your customers, from your suppliers. Get as many different perspectives on your business as you possibly can, and use this as a think tank time. Ask your friends for their advice and their ideas. They may not feel like it at particular days. You've obviously got to pick your time, but just let them know that you want to use this time to connect and get closer to them and get their perspective and get their ideas, and use them as a sounding board to really input that into your innovation phase. Now is also a time to do a full review of all of your products and services. As I said, the world is very different to what it was a month ago, and it's probably going to change again. We know that consumer expectations and consumer motivations and priorities are already changing, and I believe that there's going to be a permanent shift in how consumers interact with brands, how they form brand loyalty, and in fact what they're going to be looking for from brands. Now that's obviously evolving as this crisis unfolds, but I think now's the time to be looking at what is your product and services suite look like, and is that going to be as relevant in a month's time as it was a month ago? As I said, that's really part of being agile, so that at the end of this your business is not fragile. Now is the perfect time to be reading, to be listening to audiobooks and podcasts, and to be studying. And when I say studying, there is an opportunity for you to learn about a whole range of technologies that perhaps you can incorporate into your business, those free tech tools that Dale mentions, and to be studying, parts of your business. For me, I'm going to be focusing on this time and getting up to speed on the financial side of my business, which is something that I've possibly avoided. But now I'm going to really double down and study and learn. I'm looking at currently at some technologies, Zapier, for example, of how to use Zapier to automate different things in my business. And now is the perfect time to get ahead of the curve, to be learning about things in your business. And as I said, working on your business rather than in your business. Now, get into your customers' world as well. If you've seen me speak before, you know that I talk about the fact that everything you do in your business says one of two things. It says you live in your world or you live in your customer's world. And I've seen some examples just in the last 24 hours of businesses and brands that have pivoted in a way that says that they are truly living in their customer's world and are prepared to adapt to that changing need. An example I want to use is a good friend of mine, Jay Edwards, who runs a very successful chain of hair salons across Australia. He's renowned as being the most expensive hair salon in Australia. A month ago, this initiative would have seemed unfathomable because obviously the hair salon industry it's going probably into lockdown, but a lot of salons have been forced to close. So Jay has pivoted and done something that it's got a lot of industry backlash, but it's what consumers want. And that's that he's packaging home hair colouring for us to be able to do our hair at home in this stage of isolation or temporary closure. Now, he's faced a lot of industry backlash, a lot of judgments from people in the industry that see this as an unprofessional move, but Jay has doubled down on this, and to his credit, because it says that he's living in his customers' world. And interestingly, he hasn't had any negative feedback from customers. In fact, it's already been a very successful initiative. So now's the time to be thinking about, in your business and your brand, are you going to be disciplined and focused on what your customers need? And that potentially, you might think that, launching something will potentially compromise your brand and your position in the market. But if it is something that your customers want and they're going to respond to positively, then this is the time to be adapting and pivoting and innovating and being first to market. And by the way, Jay has had a lot of positive media coverage. He was on the Today Show yesterday. So that's the positive upside of innovating and using this time to think about new ideas, new fresh ways of doing things, and new strategies and pathways to be taking your product or service to market. And then finally, activate. There's a lot of businesses and sectors that have an opportunity right now to be more relevant than ever. If you're going to activate, if you've got a product or a service that people are going to need more than ever, now's the time to get absolute clarity on your niche. Get clear on who your customers are, what your position is in the market. Be ready to pivot your offering. And as I say, ramp up helpful content and make your marketing more relevant than ever. You may have to reposition and repurpose some of your marketing messaging, but now's the time to be thinking about getting on the front foot and really activating in a way that says that you are more relevant than ever. And now is the time, if you are going to choose the activation path, to be focusing on video marketing. So I think that in all of this, if I had to sum up where I see the opportunity, and we don't like to use that word opportunity, but there are opportunities, and there are going to be opportunities for us as business owners to build a stronger business, not being opportunistic, but opportunities to leverage this time and this changing environment that we're in. So I think the three priorities for consumers, and no matter what pathway you choose, to just think about how your product or service speaks to these three needs. I think that we've seen the amplification of a trend that was already happening, which is the kit economy. So people are looking for complete solutions. They're looking for things in kit form that speak to a particular need or solve a particular problem. So if you can repackage and think about how your product or service can be presented in a kit complete solution form, then that I think is going to resonate more than ever. We're obviously looking for convenience, and we're looking for things that are clean. I think that one of the byproducts of this crisis is going to be that we are, as consumers and as humans, going to be much more aware of personal hygiene. We're going to be much more aware of spreading of germs and that sort of thing. And that is going to impact how we interact with the world and interact with products or services. So I think we're going to see the rise of industries that were already emerging, and that's things like meal kit deliveries. HelloFresh is a great example. This brand has just grown enormously and exponentially here in Australia, and I think we're going to see a whole new level of growth for kit formats. HelloFresh delivered their first box in Australia in 2011. Last year they turned over $300 million. So I think the kit economy is alive and well, and subscription services, I think we're going to see an explosion. So can your product or service be repackaged and remarketing as a subscription service? I think now is also the time to think about getting on the front foot and really thinking about what's potentially your customers are going to be fearing. What are some of their questions, and how can you say to them, we get the situation that you're in? And we've seen the airlines that are, they are in absolute meltdown at the moment, already getting on the front foot and saying to consumers, One thing we can control is that we will assure your status. If you're a member of an airline program, we will assure your status. It's only a small thing, but I think these small messages that we can be sending to our customers say that we're living in their world, we're not living in our own world. Now, you know that I'm big on video marketing. Now's the time to be thinking about how you can produce some content in your business so that you are ready to go when the upswing happens. There are 6 videos you need in your business. You'll get a link to this with some examples as part of your free program, and you'll get a free copy of my book as well. But now is the time to be thinking about using this time, leveraging this incredible opportunity and asset that we have in our business, an opportunity that we may not get again, to have this downtime to be working on our business, to be developing content. Now, if I had to sort of sum up, how am I going for time, Dale? Have I got?
Yeah, you're going really well, Amanda. Probably just another 2 more minutes and then we'll
2 more minutes. Awesome. That's all I need. So that's great. I want to talk about a term, if I had to sum up what the opportunity is and what we should be focusing on with our marketing and our customer experience, and how are we connecting with our customers in the next 30 days. It's the term omotenashi. Now, omotenashi is the word that describes Japanese service culture. If you've ever been to Japan, you know that they have a very unique service culture. It's very extraordinary. They're renowned for their customer experience. And omotenashi refers to the service culture that is being of service, not servant, but being of service without expecting anything in return. We are in strange times, and I don't know about you, but I've decided that the best thing that I can do in the next 30, 60, 90 days, possibly longer, is to be of service. I think that the more helpful we can be without expecting anything in return, that is potentially going to be our greatest business asset. And I think the boomerang effect will mean that down the track, we will all have more successful, stronger businesses if we help each other and actually just use the assets that we have in our business. Using the stock if you can afford it, using your time, using your expertise to give to other business owners or consumers, your customers that really need it right now, because I believe that will pay dividends. So be of service, omotenashi, give, and I think that will return to all of us. So thank you for having me, and thank you, Dale, for living and breathing omotenashi for your community to bring this amazing event together.
Thank you so much. Let's all give a huge round of applause to Amanda Stevens, everyone. That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Amanda. And just because you're such a professional, you customized that entire presentation to really be exactly what people need right now. So I want to say a massive thank you. I know you put a lot of work into to this presentation, and it was amazing. So thank you so much.